This radio show is a paid placement. Welcome to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. I'm Mark Elliott, and Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates. Nolan McIntosh joined the team after, getting his doctorate from Andrews University in physical therapy. Joined the team in 2018 after making everybody healthy, walking them through their aches and pains. And now he's here to help you with any of those aches and pains you may have for retirement. But the team at McIntosh and Associates is here to help you figure out, are you going to be okay when you retire? That's really the bottom line. Do I have enough? Will my money last? Those are big questions. But at the end of the day, you want to know, can we retire? Can I retire? Will we or I be okay? That's what the team at McIntosh and Associates here to help you with that dream-focused wealth plan. So it just starts with a discovery meeting. They got to learn about you, really, your hopes and dreams. And, all right, how much income do you need? Where's it going to come from? What are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? And then it goes into the analysis side. Once they figure out what you have, and then, okay, how do we make it last as long as they need it to? Then there's a solution. Then they implement it. And it doesn't stop there. They don't just say, good luck, I hope it all works out for you. No, they're right with you, step by step, making adjustments in that dream-focused wealth plan as needed. If you'd like to learn more, it's 877-222-8849. There's no cost, no obligation. 877-222-8849. This is a complimentary phone call with the team. And you can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. All right, Mindy, I'll start with you. I know you and Nolan had a great opportunity to go to Scotland, and now you have in the bank some television little 2-minute things that are coming in June. Is that right?
You bet. So we're pretty excited. We're going to have some ABC debuts of some weekend shows with just doing some television segments, which will be pretty nice to the listeners who now can also view and be able to see some different things and be able to see what they're going to come into and who they're going to chat with and how we can literally help so many folks to walk through the questions they might have with Social Security, healthcare, what plans, diversification. Are they worried about debt ceiling? Are they worried about taxes? And how do we walk through all of this with them as our Dream Focus Wealth Plan? So really, anybody who's listening, go to our website at wealthmichigan.com or call here at 877-222-8849 and let's just start a plan.
Yeah, and on that TV, we're actually, giving a retirement-ready toolkit, we call it. And it's a great opportunity for anybody that's even listening, in the radio, if they see that. In that retirement-ready toolkit, there's a book that obviously Mindy wrote, Cultivate Wealth, that we're offering out, and plenty of resources that we can get their hands on to talk about some of those specific things that people have questions on every day, right? Social Security timing, life insurance, health insurance, Medicare, wealth management strategies, income strategies, right? Tax strategies. So a lot of information is contained in that book in the simple format for people to get a lot of information on. So really excited to get those toolkits out to people in their hands.
Yeah. And if you are a reader, I'm telling you, it would be really nice for you to see how, we've drugged through the trenches, and it's just kind of nice. It gives you a little bit of my story of my upbringing and kind of why I like to do and serve the way that I do. It also will walk you through any questions that you might have about saving for retirement, how to draw Social Security, what are the ABCs of healthcare and Medicare, what does it look like to have a good, solid, diversified plan for investments and wealth and income inside of retirement, and then how do you make all this work well for you of what you want to do in your lifetime. They can receive a copy of the book if they go to retirereadywsgw.com or visit our website directly at wealthmichigan.com. We'd love to have you be able to take a look at this, review it, and share it. Cultivate Wealth is kind of going to be a new platform for us to use here and to serve the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations on the book. Congratulations on the upcoming television. Nolan looked great in a kilt, so it's all going good.
Kilt will not be on TV. I didn't want to see that kind of leg. So,
wealthmichigan.com, and you can always call the team with questions, 877-222-8849. All right, what's your take, Nolan, on the debt ceiling? We know that at some point this is going to be fixed, but we do know that for better sake of a better word, Trump tax law is going to end in 2025, 2026. We go back to the 17 rates and brackets. And holy cow, do you get into the brackets much, much quicker than before. And the brackets are about 3 to 4% higher than they were or are currently. So our taxes are going to be a big deal. There's some moving parts here. But, Congress we've never defaulted, so we're not going to default. But there is some probably maybe impact on seniors, savers, everyday Americans probably.
Yeah, the challenges is you kind of touched on the taxation, and so they just can't leave them the way they are, and so obviously they are going to sunset, and taxation for our most people are going to increase, but I think they have to maybe even go up even higher than that. So I don't think in this current situation with the ceiling debt that we're kind of incurring and inflation and kind of this interest rate environment, which they raised again, and suppose they're going to pause for a little while. That may be a dilemma, right? Savers have been able to be rewarded for the last 6-7 months, and that may have to challenge that a little bit depending on what inflation does and where interest rates go. But I think they have to make up some of this ceiling debt and taxation, and so they're going to get, I don't know, for lack of a better term, tricky on how they do it. There's going to be some things that are taxable that were never taxable before. They're probably going to change, obviously, the ordinary income tax that people are paying in the federal side. And I think, obviously, they might change some things on some investments possibly going forward because they've talked about it, particularly capital gains rates and changing some of those. So I think they solved this problem that they have with national debt because, unfortunately, we can't just keep raising the debt. That's not viable. I mean, there's going to be a point in time where there's a breaking point where we just can't pay back those debts anymore. And so they have to do something. And so when we look at things, we're probably going to have to look at it through a taxation bubble. And if there's some concerns out there with where you're at with taxes, very easily we can get some tools in your hands to show you this is what your tax implications look like. That's very simple. You can do that at wealthmichigan.com or call us at 877-222-8849. We can do a tax review with you and see where we're at.
I think I saw somewhere that it's like $60 billion of interest every quarter that the government is paying on that debt. So, Mindy, I think the big parts of this that would affect retirees would be, okay, the federal government's in trouble. There's not as many young workers as there used to be. When baby boomers were growing up, Social Security was perfect for their parents because there were so many baby boomers coming into the workforce. That's not how it's working. It's like 2-to-1 numbers now to Social Security, workers to Social Security, where it used to be like 20-to-1. So it's a different time. So Social Security and Medicare, they can't cut those, though, can they? Now they might tweak them, but nobody gets reelected if they cut them. So there's going to be some tweaks, is my thinking.
Well, and that's the tricky part, right? Is we know there's going to be changes, and change to me means I feel that there's going to be higher taxes. I also feel that we're going to see with Social Security, sometimes that's going hand in hand with even some of the funding and such for, I think it'll trickle down. You'll see Medicare Part B costing folks more. So I think we're going to see some changes between taxation, some of the Medicare costs that we see. I also think that, we're going to see some cost of living adjustments change because we've always planned for our generation and our children's generation, do not plan on Social Security being there as part of your framework. We're too much in debt as a nation, and I'm just not sure how it's going to be able to continue to sustain. They've continued to make changes, so will they just continue to change the age of eligibility? They could do that with more longevity. Instead of being eligible to collect, let's say normally at 62, depending on situation, they could push that out to 65 and make some other adjustments and continue to tweak from there. But we definitely know the big point is having a plan and making sure that you're working with someone that can help you along the way as changes come up. Change is inevitable. We know that these things are coming. And how do we make sure that that leg of your stool as a part of your solid income foundation, how are we going to create that and make sure that you're creating your own income plan inside of retirement? So call us here at 877-222-8849 or reach out to us at wealthmichigan.com. Let's talk through this and make sure that any concerns or thoughts that you have, let's actually walk through this together for your particular situation and view what we see that we could help you with in the future.
And one of the other challenges, I think, for the federal government with those two areas being considered, Social Security and Medicare, is that currently, this is amazing, I think, there are now 90,000, almost 90,000 centenarians, those that have hit the age of 100, 90,000 centenarians currently living in the U.S. They project by the year 2030, there'll be 130,000 folks in the U.S., 100 years of age or older. By 2060, there will be over 600,000 centenarians. You talk about putting stress on Social Security and Medicare, Mindy, that's a lot of stress, I'm thinking, coming the government's way.
I think we're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. I feel like for so many years, especially being in this industry, we knew it was coming. We even know sometimes the benefits, even if we just talk about Medicare benefits themselves of how rich they feel, I think that we're going to see some additional changes in the future of costs what's happening with inflation and how is the government going to be able to sustain Social Security. They can't the way it is today. And that's why we've already seen significant changes over the years of claiming strategies and timelines. So I feel that we're going to need to make sure that we are planning for less of that reliability in the Social Security platform inside of retirement.
Yeah, you have to remember, this was not planned. When Theodore Roosevelt put this in place, it was a supplemental income. Now people are using it as a steady income stream, and they're dependent on it. We got to get out of that mode. I think that's the challenge we have as, United States citizens, is that we're so heavily leaning on what the government's going to do. And then we get mad because they make a decision on it. And I just think that we have to change maybe some of that thinking and say, you know what, this is supposed to be used as a supplemental income. Let's provide our main steady stream of income from somewhere else, right? From our retirement savings and things of that nature. And obviously we're not going to get it from a pension anymore because those days are gone. But yeah, my grandpa's in there. He's going to be one of those centurions. I 100% believe it. But yeah, with the medical technology, that's the reason why it costs more. People are living longer, and as people live longer, their health obviously is going to change as that happens. And so it doesn't necessarily make it easier. Sometimes it makes it more expensive. So even on the Medicare side, like Mindy said, there's a structure there that's probably going to have to be changed. I just don't know what that looks like. And that's why I do what I do, and I'm not a politician. So that's kind of the important piece there. But yeah, we need to walk through some of those strategies. That's a big thing. Social Security timing can be a big thing. So 877-222-8849 or wealthmichigan.com. Great place to get some information.
Yeah, it's a complimentary phone call. I think it's one of the more important phone calls you could make to the team at McIntosh and Associates. Find out where you are. If nothing else, you may never become a client, but you're going to leave that conversation with a better understanding of where you are on that road to retirement. Maybe it would make sense to go a little further with the team at McIntosh and Associates. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. Nolan, here's your dad joke of the week you can take home to your daughters. What do lawyers wear to court? Lawsuits. Makes perfect sense.
Wow.
Perfect sense. Back with more with Mindy and Nolan. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Back right after this.
Get started today to develop your own dream-focused wealth plan with the team at McIntosh and Associates. Schedule a complimentary first visit today. Call 877-222-8849.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan. You can always go to the website to learn more, wealthmichigan.com, wealthmichigan.com. Look, the team is here to help you figure out where you are on that road to retirement. Can you retire? Well, when can I retire? And we're going to talk about some of those big questions here in this segment and the next segment. And it's typical that we all have these same questions. If you have questions, once they run through this list today, maybe think about your situation. Where are you on this roadmap, road trip even, to retirement? 877-222-8849. No cost to chat with the team. They're here to help. They just don't know if they can help you until you reach out. 877-222-8849. The team at McIntosh & Associates would love to sit down with you and see if they can help. They would love to help. 877-222-8849. I'm Mark Ellie. Glad you're with us today. You know, there's always questions, right? I mean, so, Nolan, do you cook? Mindy cook? Who cooks? Got the daughters trained that they cook now?
Well, actually, our middle daughter does, and she's actually quite talented at doing that.
Ava.
Yeah. It's really dependent on the day. Some days I got to be the person, but some days I'm the one, helping coach, so I got to run out and do that. So it just depends.
Yeah. So you think about the questions you have every day. What's for dinner? Hey, how was your day? When was the meeting? When is the meeting we have to go to? Whatever. When's the game? Hey, the kids are playing this or that. And all those are the typical questions we have every day. But the questions we have in retirement might sound simple. I think the answers sometimes can get a little bit more complicated, Mindy. So what questions should we be asking, or are people asking the closer they get to retirement? What are the typical questions that people have?
Well, it might be who's cooking dinner, but
Exactly. Yeah.
Some of the questions that folks are asking is some of the big things that we see literally daily with the folks and client families that come in is, when can I retire? They're looking for that timeline. So when can I retire? Have I saved enough, right? So they're wondering, have I saved enough? Which is always then followed by, will my money last? Or am I going to outlive my money for the number of years I could live in retirement? And, other question would probably be, what about my loved ones? Will my spouse be okay if something happens to me, or my children or my grandchildren? So really, they're talking about emotional things that ties into the retirement.
So you think about it, Mindy. So can I retire? Well, then the next question be right after that is, well, when, right? Can I retire in the first place? All right, I can. Great. Well, when? Is it this year, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? Where am I? I'm on the right track. And that one is interesting because I don't know. I have a lot of friends that have retired. They were school teachers, so they retired in their, mid to late 50s. I have some people that actually worked at where they had a pension, worked at a plant and had a pension. They retired right around 60. But they had a pension as well. So school teachers and these workers, they all had pensions. And I go, when do you start in Social Security? They go, at 62. I go, did you ever talk to anybody? Nope, I'm good. Okay, good luck to you then. I'm sure they're going to be fine because they've got guaranteed pensions. And do people say, you know what, Mindy, I'm going to retire. I'm tired of working. I'm going to retire at 62 because I can get Social Security. Or, hey, I got to wait till healthcare, so I'm going to retire at 65. Do people take those government dates of Social Security and Medicare and kind of add that into without really thinking about it, or is that wrong? Am I thinking wrong?
Undeniably, they sure do. We just had a call last week. Wife said, hey, my husband's going to retire in July. We have an appointment set up with the Social Security office. I'm hearing all different, schools of thought. He is going to have a pension, but we were told to take it now. We were also told to rely off of other investment income in the pension if he can wait. And they were just doing it. So just as you said, they were going to retire. That was the date. And it was all based on Social Security in their mind at first, until we were really able to sit down, walk through it together, and look at all aspects of what we call their Dream Focus Wealth Plan. So current income now, later the pension when he retires in July. What's happening with current, investments in 401ks, and how will we help to secure and diversify some of that portfolio? Then we need to take a look and do an efficient tax plan for them. And then we will actually turn on Social Security. They have longevity in their family, very healthy right now. So we'll wait a little bit. He still might do some per diem work. So we don't want to reduce the benefits of his Social Security because he's not full retirement age yet. So all of these things that go into that household situation, which is yet very different from when we had the week before saying, I really want to retire, but I know I need to wait until 65 because I don't think I can afford individual healthcare costs right now without having a pension and being under 65. My income's been high. I don't think I can pay, $700, $800, $900 a month that the single person was talking to us about. So I think everyone's situation is different. We then can kind of go to work and take a look at, well, what have you saved and how much income are you really generating? Can we bridge the gap and have our team here help with individual healthcare, retire now, reduce some risk in the market, create you some other secured income to pay for the healthcare, and he actually can retire now. He does not need to wait. So everyone's situation is so customized and different. So reach out to our office here. Let's discuss this at 877-222-8849 or visit us at wealthmichigan.com. We can have a visit and just see where is the timeline looking for you and what are your goals.
So, Nolan, when you do sit down with an individual, because you guys work with single people, divorced people, widows, widowers, you also work with married couples, so everybody's situation is different. So when they come in, the ones that I think have a plan for retirement, they're really excited because they know what they're going to do and how they're going to spend their time. The other end of that coin is, man, I hate my job, Nolan. I really want to retire. I don't like it. And they don't really have any hobbies. You're not really sure what they're going to do. I mean, it's really more than about just the money, isn't it?
Yeah. We have that a lot more than you would think, that the emotional side is the decision maker, not the financial side of it. And it's we love to be able to show our clients that, don't make your decision based on financial, because sometimes that's what it is, right? They haven't had a plan and they just been saving, this money into their 401k and just they don't know anything else, right? That's just all they've done. And then we get to show them that, we can make our decisions based on your emotional happiness and not on your financial gauge, and really helps them. I mean, it really does help them. The challenge is that next piece, though, the emotional piece is, they've done this for all their life and they just don't know where their self-worth is going to come from. So we try and help them walk through that a little bit. We say, well, what would you want to do? And our first visit, that's our biggest thing, because then we can start focusing on that and get off of the financial question and get back onto, what is your dream? You've been doing this your entire life. What do you want to get to do? And if we can take care of that emotional side of it, saying, well, yeah, I wanted to spend more time with my kids. I wanted to spend more time with my grandkids. I wanted to take more trips with my wife. My wife retired several years ago, or my husband, retired, a while ago. And now I'm getting into the place where I want to be to do that with them. And so that's why we ask that question, because if we can solve that, that's easy. That's easy. The money part of it becomes easy at that point. And then, it's one of those things you just talk about, having that great time with whatever you want to do. So that Dream Focused Wealth Plan truly is what it is. It's really to get the emotional side conquered, so that way you don't feel like you have to keep going to work if you've done the great job of saving for retirement.
So if you'd like to chat with the team at McIntosh & Associates, it's 877-222-8849. Now, clearly you'd need to have money because you have to have income. You've got to replace the paychecks that are no longer coming in. But it's also an emotional side of this. There's a mental side of retirement as well. And the team at McIntosh & Associates will kind of walk you through all this. You've never retired before. How do you know all the steps? That's why it makes perfect sense to chat with the team at McIntosh & Associates. 877-222-8849. Complimentary, 877-222-8849. Mindy, one of the questions I hate, are, well, at my age, what should I have saved? Because you can Google that. That's all over the place. My problem with that is I know you guys have sat down with people that had $1 million and it wasn't near enough, and you sat down with people that had $200,000, it was plenty. So everybody's situation is unique. It's not really about the dollars. It's what does that particular individual or couple, what do they need, right?
Correct. And that's the big thing is some folks are looking to retire and they think they need to have a staple of X amount of dollars saved. Or, oh goodness, let's calculate our withdrawal rate. If we don't withdraw any more than this amount, we'll be okay. But everyone has a different lifestyle. They live in different areas. They have different likes and hobbies. Some are retiring entirely debt-free and have an amazing income platform that we've already designed maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And so we've reduced some market risk at that time and gave them some guarantees. Others are coming to us for the first time and they might still be doing a lot of travel. And, folks, generally speaking, when they retire, are spending more in those first several years of retirement than they will later. So how do we look at that and ladder it? And how do we make sure that we're also adjusting for increasing inflation, higher tax rates? So folks sometimes think they're going to retire, their tax bracket will go down. And sometimes we need to really take a look at, this might not be the case. And how have they saved too? The styles of their savings and investments is a big role as well. So have they been saving in pre-tax instruments and now they're going to have more that they're paying out in taxes when they retire to the IRS? Or have they paid taxes all along and it's grown tax-free? So it really depends. We literally have a vast variety of folks as far as, let's say, net worth or investable assets, that there is no particular staple of when you hit this number, you can retire. It has to do with a lot of factors of your health, lifestyle, areas. So reach out to us here. Let's have a visit and walk through getting you this complimentary form and retirement timeline in your hand. And you can reach us here at 877-222-8849, and we can walk through that together.
So, Nolan, the final couple minutes of this segment, we'll talk more about the other two big questions. Will my money last? Will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me in the next segment? But putting together a budget or a spending plan, however you want to look at it, that's probably a good first step.
Yeah, and I don't think we'd like to call it a budget anymore. It just sounds so clunky, and people, when you hear budget, they cringe, right? Oh, it means I got to stay within the confines of this budget, right? We try and call it, I think you touched on it, a spending plan, right? How do we create income to not change your lifestyle in retirement to keep up the spending that you do? So it's different, right? The confines of a budget means you can't go outside of that box, but if we make your income work for what you want to spend, that's easy, right? That's, in our opinion, that's easier to come up with. And so we really want to get that spending plan down because that allows us to go to work and say, how much income do we need to generate to keep that spending plan going in retirement to not have to change your lifestyle? And we'll never have to change your lifestyle no matter what, no matter if you hit 100 years old or you live to 65, right? So that's how we look at it. How do we create enough income for your spending plan to make sure the lifestyle does not change no matter what happens in your life? So budgets, we'd like to throw that word out. Yes, I mean, it's basically what it is, but, if we look at it from a different lens, right, using it from a spending plan and how we create enough income for that spending plan makes it a lot easier and a lot easier to talk about because then we can think outside the box of, oh, I spend $3,000 a month or my budget's $3,000 a month. Well, maybe you want to spend more than that, right? You want to go on vacation. So now your spending plan is going to be $4,000 a month. If we can create enough income for that, that makes people feel a lot better than saying, I got to confine to this budget that I've, constrained myself for all my life. So 877-222-8849. If you want an income plan that goes with your spending, that's what we're looking for.
So you think about it. Can I retire? Well, when can I retire, right? Well, have I saved enough? Those are the big two questions to get you started. Then after that, is your money going to last as long as you need it to? What about, will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? Those are big questions. We're going to talk about those when we come back with Mindy and Nolan. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes.
Schedule your complimentary first visit with the McIntoshes right now. Call 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849.
Glad you're with us today for Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes. Mindy McIntosh, the founder and president of McIntosh and Associates, started the company back in 2004. Nolan McIntosh joined the team in 2018 after his doctorate from Andrews University in physical therapy, helping people in the PT and athletic training world. And now he's here to help you put your plan together, the dream-focused wealth plan that the team of McIntosh and Associates puts together for you. It's income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. Well, what about Social Security? It's in the income part. What about Medicare? It's in the healthcare part. There's a lot of moving pieces in retirement. We don't have that guaranteed paycheck coming in all the time when we get to retirement. So how do we replace that? If you've got a pension, great. Most don't, but if you do, great. But you still have Social Security. Who knows what's going to happen with that? They're not going to get rid of it because elected officials, that's what they want, is to get reelected. Don't mess with my Social Security. I'm 63. I haven't started it yet. Don't be messing with it. Make sure I've been getting these cost of living adjustments the last few years. So there's a lot of moving parts in this. The idea is you put that dream-focused wealth plan together, you're going to have a little confidence, a lot of confidence, but you're going to have clarity. Where am I? Can I retire now? Do I have to wait a little bit longer? And those are the big questions people have. When can I retire? Have I saved enough? We talked about those in the last segment. This segment, we're going to talk about the other two really big questions. And the number one fear amongst retirees, Nolan, is, boy, will my money last as long as I need it or we need it to last? How do you answer that question? That's probably because you don't know how long we're going to live. You don't know if we're going to have health issues. Those are two big unknowns.
Yeah, so we try to stress test. When we use our analysis and our tools, we always try and stress test it all the way to age 100, right? I mean, my grandpa's 98. And so, it's one of those things that you never know what's going to happen. But we try and plan for that, right? That's the biggest thing. And I think, will my money last? I think the question, that's the problem, is that there's probably not a plan there. If you don't know if your money's going to last, that means you hope, maybe the market agrees with you, and so therefore it lasts. You hope that, a lot of people don't think about it this way, but you hope that taxes don't go up, because if taxes go up, that's going to significantly impact on will your money last, right? So depending on how we've saved and depending on how we look at where our income streams are coming from, it makes a significant difference on will my money last. And again, it's not all about, I think everybody just thinks about, it's about that spending plan or budget that we talked about prior. It's one of those things that it's not all about that. It really is. What other factors could influence how the money will last? The second, and even another thing is what if somebody falls ill and then now all of a sudden there's only one person collecting Social Security because the other had passed? That would change possibly will my money last? And so these are all things that we have to look at, and it can be very daunting for somebody, obviously, that's not in our type of capacities to be able to do it because they can't answer those questions. They don't have the tools or resources to be able to do that, and that's why Mindy and I love to do what we do, is because we do know how to handle that. We do know how to plan for some of the unplanned, unforeseen things that happen in life, and so really, I just don't think it's one of those things of, will my money last? I think there's some different tools that we need to look at instead of just saying, hey, I hope I make it. Why don't we just look at it and say, you can make it, but we just have to have a plan to do that. And so we can only do that by taking that first step. And that's obviously with us being able to meet with you, which is the easiest way is 877-222-8849 to get that plan started.
Mindy, we started this segment, the last segment, we were talking about these four big questions. And the decision on when can I retire, it comes down to a lot of times for a lot of people, they just make the decision based on when can they get Social Security. We know at 62, it's a 25 to 30% haircut if you take it at 62, but it might be the right time. There's no question it might be the right time. And we know if we wait till 70, it's going to grow at about 8% per year past your full retirement age. So that could be the right decision, but it could be anywhere in between as well. There is a right decision for you. Doesn't mean somebody's wrong if they take it at 62 or wrong if they wait till 70, but it's about you. So one of the big questions on will my money last is, what if we have a health issue? Now, I think a lot of people have the kind of the feeling that, well, once I get to 65, I don't have to worry about that anymore, Mindy, because Medicare is going to take care of everything.
And that's a common misconception sometimes of they feel like, well, I'm going to be eligible for Medicare. I've paid into, Medicare and FICA taxes all these years. So that's just paid for and I won't need to do anything else. And that is a very common misconception. So Medicare Part A, yes, if you had enough working credits, you paid into Medicare Part A. So you've already paid for that portion. You do, however, though, need to pay for the cost of Medicare Part B. And that price or premium is going to vary based on your income that you've had. And it's always over a 2-year lag period. So we look at that and you're not done. Once you have the red, white, and blue card, you are not then done. So what we have to look to do initially from there is we need to make sure that we set up and start a Part D or a prescription drug plan that has a premium to it. And there's copays for medications and such. We also need to make sure that you have a supplemental plan or a Medicare Advantage plan so that you will pay copays and such. So you're not left with the open 20% that Medicare Part B doesn't cover. So we need to make sure as we're looking at inflation and cost of healthcare, number one, walking our clients through the understanding of the plans that they're available and that they can purchase and that they can have, and that it's not a set it and forget it. And then also to make sure as things change, where have we utilized their Dream Focus Wealth Plan to help create the income they're going to need for healthcare that's sustainable to walk through maybe even 30 years of their retirement. So if you're listening, you're wondering, gosh, what are those pieces of the puzzle might mean for me? And how do we walk through this together? Reach out to us here at 877-222-8849, and we can sit down and just review your plan together.
One risk that we don't talk about a lot is legislative risk. And certainly we've talked about, hey, the Trump tax law is going to end in 2025. 2026 on the books is to go back to the 17 rates and brackets. So we get there quicker, but our taxes have gone up by, I mean, you can get to the brackets and they might be 3% higher than what you were in, 4%. And remember, you go through all those brackets. So it could be a 20% tax increase just by what's on the books right now. So there's a lot of moving parts there. But also the kind of the same thing when it comes to, where our money lasts is we don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know what our health will be like. And those are really big questions, I think. And Mindy and Nolan and the team are here to help walk you through all of that. 877-222-8849. Complimentary phone call, no cost for this. 877-222-8849. Because I think it's such a big deal. The one that I think, the last question, Nolan, I'll start with you on this one because I think this has changed. We're going to get to hear from Mindy's mom here in a second. And you think about the difference in generations. My grandparents were part of the great generation, the silent generation, and it was all about family. Now the baby boomers are so busy. It's about family, but it's also about us doing what we want to do. So it's a little different mindset. But will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? It used to be my grandparents would love to have left money to their daughter, my mom. But I think today's generation is more about, hey, if there's something left, that's great. Let's leave it to the kids. We're going to enjoy our retirement first. Do you see a shift in kind of the mindset?
Yeah, there has been. I mean, I think part of that too is, back, when pensions were still viable. Yes, obviously people are still collecting pensions today, but now they're not. And I think that's kind of where it comes from is that, it used to be, hey, we'll just leave the pension to, whoever's left and we'll be okay. Now they have to create that. And there's just not that sense of stability, I guess you would call it, to where they feel like, their loved ones. But it's from a sense of they want to make sure their spouse is okay. And I agree. I think there's been a shift where they're like, well, we worked hard. We've, gotten our kids through what they're getting through, and I want to spend some time on us type of thing, and which is great. I think that's exactly how, it should be if that's the way that our goals are. But obviously there's some people that have saved so much in retirement that that's not their primary focus is, and they want to have some left to their kids. And it's different situations. We have different clients where, maybe their parents died young and just they kind of, financially put them in trouble and they want to make that certain not happen to their kids type of thing. So some of that does change, on, family dynamics. But I think it's one of those things that, from a standpoint is I don't think it's a wrong answer, right? Mindy and I's job is to say, what is that? What do you want to do? Do you want to leave a legacy? If you want to, do you want to answer that question, will my loved ones be okay? Or if you're just worried about, getting through and making sure you have enough for you, it's not a wrong answer. It's just we have to make sure that we know what that answer is for you. Because if that answer is different, then we got to plan differently for that. So that's why it's so customized. That's why we always ask that simple question. I think that's why we have the clients that we do is because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't ask that question. Just say, well, let me grow your assets and then you figure it out, right? No, our job is to help figure out what are your dreams, what are your hopes, and based on those dreams and hopes, That's where your customized plan comes from, is from what you're telling us. And again, that has to change with our clients. And so if you want that Dream Focused Wealth Plan in your hands, the only way we can do it is by getting together and having a visit. And the best way to do that is either through wealthmichigan.com or 877-222-8849.
Final minute, Mindy, before we head to the final segment. So when can I retire? Have I saved enough? Will my money last? Will my loved ones be okay if something happens to me? Which one do you think is the most prevalently asked?
Will I run out of money?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it's still the number one concern. Will my money last as long as I or we need it? And that's what the team at McIntosh Associates is really here to help you figure out. What do you need? Where's it going to come from? So income, investment strategies. Are we taking too much risk? Not enough risk. That's a huge deal. Safety versus growth. What about taxes? We know they're going up. Are we going to be able to handle that? Then it gets into the healthcare, long-term care. Medicare is not playing in the long-term care world. It's certainly going to be there for you while you're in generally good health. But there's a lot of moving parts. Mindy's a wizard at Medicare. You have any questions about that, call Mindy on that. And then, of course, legacy and estate planning. How are we going to do all that? What do we want to do? How do we want to leave things? It's all about you at McIntosh & Associates. What do you need? How can we put this plan together to give you confidence and clarity that you're going to be okay? We don't know if we can until you give us a holler. 877-222-8849, 877-222-8849. You can always learn more at wealthmichigan.com. Special guest coming up next. This is Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes.
To learn more about the team at McIntosh & Associates, check out their website anytime at wealthmichigan.com.
Welcome back to Wealth Michigan with the McIntoshes, Mindy and Nolan McIntosh of McIntosh & Associates. Any questions about anything that Mindy and Nolan have talked about all day long? Questions about where you are on that road to retirement? 877-222-8849. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us today. And Woodrow Wilson, Mindy, back in 1914, started a day for mothers, Mother's Day. And you have a special guest with us to wrap up our show today.
I sure do. What about a way on Mother's Day than to have my own mom here with me, which is wonderful. So my mom, Lori, is so near and dear to me. She's been my best friend my entire life. So, Mom, so glad to have you.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Mindy. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
And, as these moms are listening today, Mom, share a little bit about what does Mother's Day really signify for you?
Well, Mother's Day for me has always been near and dear to my heart, not so much just because of the day, it being Mother's Day, but of being able to know the importance of spending time with your children, being that mom, not just on that specific May date, but all throughout the year, actually. Love being a mom, and I love being a grandma, and I love spending time with grandkids and both of my kids.
So there you have it. As you hear us week after week, I'm really big on the why and just, serving and loving on one another. So what a better way than, you see that domino effect here of just spending quality time together. Family is everything. And, we get to enjoy time and laughter together and go through, ups and downs of what life brings. And actually, Mom was just able to retire in December through our Dream Focused Wealth Plan that you hear us talk about every week on the show. And Mom, share a little bit about what that's been like for you over the past several months.
Actually, it's been an absolute amazement. I love being retired. I truly didn't think I would be able to retire until I was well into my 70s. And let me just say, I'm not that. I'm 65, actually. But with the help of Nolan and Mindy and using their Dream Focused Wealth Plan, I was able to retire much sooner than I had expected. The pleasure and the greatness of all of that is just that I can do what I love to do. And for me, my heart has always been being a mom and a grandma. And I'm able to spend time now with my grandchildren, which I absolutely adore and love. So it's been a dream come true for me.
Which is nice. So would you say, yes, there's different things that go on in life, Mom, but do you have much worry now about the financial journey of your retirement or even maybe the healthcare that's set up?
Well, I don't have those worries that a lot of people have. I have been extremely blessed to get the assistance that I need. I now have one less worry on my plate with any of that. And I know that I'm going to be fine financially through the rest of my retirement and the rest of my life. And I can focus on exactly what I love. And again, that's those grandchildren and those children of mine.
Just focusing on the good things. We get to spend time together. You know, mom's really instilled a lot of great qualities in our daughters too, of learning to cook and bake and just being silly. You know, there's been a lot of days where we've had that ice cream scooper out and we are just singing and singing. We do dance parties and, you know, we try to keep it light and then also, you know, do different life lessons. Mom is a big supporter of the community as well, of giving back time and such, which is pretty important. So I think it's great that she's taught us to be able to, you know, have fun, give back, love on one another, and just, it's okay to all be where we're at in our own realm.
That's absolutely true. In fact, it's funny that Mindy talks about singing with an ice cream scooper. One day, the grandchildren and I were doing that not so long ago, and we're kind of caught by one of the construction worker that was outside of her home and happened to see me. And I said, oh my goodness, I was so embarrassed when he caught me singing with the granddaughters. But he simply laughed and I said I was embarrassed. And he said, how cool is that you're able to be that grandma to those grandkids? So we do a lot of silly, funny things. So we're very blessed.
So again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope you enjoy all of what's to come here in the summer. Once again, if you want to check out items with us, reach us here at 877-222-8849 or on the web at wealthmichigan.com. Have a wonderful day.
Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business McIntosh & Associates. McIntosh & Associates Financial is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by McIntosh & Associates are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and McIntosh Associates are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. McIntosh & Associates Financial is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by McIntosh & Associates Financial. This radio show is a paid placement.